Good evening and welcome back to iScience Radio. And we'll be talking to Julie about the recent movements in the world of antidepressants today, as well as the usual news segment with Gabby back with us this week, and also a game run by Emma. To kick us off, we have the Smiths.
That was This Charming Man by the Smiths, and now we have Gabby here with us today. So Gabby, please tell us about what's been happening in the world of science this week.
Yeah, great. Thank you guys for having me. So in our discourse this week, we have a new transplant that comes from Australia and also news from the European Space Agency. So the first story is from Michaela Hu, our deputy news editor. She wrote about a new transplant called the fecal microbiota transplant, also known as FMT, that has been recently approved in Australia, and it's the first time this type of transplant has been approved worldwide. So FMT is the process of transferring fecal matter from a donor into the intestinal tract of a recipient, and it populates the recipient's tract with the necessary bacteria to create a diverse microbiome in the gut. And so, your gut kind of does a lot of stuff, like it needs this community of bacteria to, actively live and help your digestive system. So scientists have been investigating the gut microbiome specifically, and they finally, found somewhat of a cure with the FMT. So this treatment is effective in treating Clostridium difficile, which is an infection that people have faced, and then other common gastrointestinal disorders. So the first step in this kind of transplant is getting donors. The right donors cannot have any infectious diseases, and they will be screened for anything else that could possibly be in the way. And it's kind of very difficult because when you're getting screened, you basically find out that you have something that you cannot, give to another person that is immunocompromised. And so, like, if you want to get tested and you want to find out if you're a viable donor, please do so. Usually it's kind of a little intense, the donation process. You usually kind of, take your poop and send it into the scientists to check, and they go through the whole process for you. But it'll help people a lot. So if you're thinking of helping this treatment, look up Biobank and look up their partner Hudson Institute. They'll usually have some, kind of depository system and process to get donations started. And then the other news is that the European Space Agency announced their new class of trainee astronauts, which is really exciting because in doing so, they have made the initiative to send someone with a physical disability into space. Now, diversity in space has been a problem. NASA recently, just launched their Artemis 1 mission, which should send the first woman to the moon and then the first person of color to the moon. And now ESA is obviously sending the first person with a disability into space, hopefully. John McFall from the United Kingdom will take place in their para-astronaut feasibility program. McFall had his leg amputated when he was 19 and is also a Paralympian, and he just decided to answer the ESA's calls for individuals who are qualified to be an astronaut. So this program will explore options for astronauts with physical disabilities to operate future space missions and human space flight. The study will last about 2 to 3 years and will look at hurdles that these para-astronauts will face. And it's not even just him that is hopefully going into space. There is a whole new recruit of astronauts. This is the first time the ESA has recruited people in 13 years. The first 5 are career astronauts. So these are 3 men and 2 women who will be trained to actually go into space or trained to do specific missions. And then there will be 11 members of a reserve pool of astronauts who they met all the qualifications, but they just can't be sent to space or, do any projects right now, but they are still being trained. Maybe hopefully they'll get to space one day. So I'm really excited to see what the ESA is going to do in the future.
Yeah, that sounds really quite optimistic, doesn't it? So me too.
Yeah. It's uplifting news.
Cool. Thank you, Gabby.
Thank you.
And now we have just
the review we have a recent review by UCL, which is highlighted and brought to the public eye, that the working theory for the cause of depression, where you link it to the abnormally low levels of serotonin that has been used to support the use of certain antidepressant medications, may not be really that strong, and it doesn't stand up to scientific scrutiny. So we're going to talk to Julie a bit about this and the surrounding implications of the finding. But first, we'll play Sharon's pick of the evening, Otana no Okaiti, which translates as The Adult Code by The Duon.
消えては浮かぶ吐息よ冷たい闇夜は僕の願い飲み込みかくまいます真っ白な息が今最も無垢な本音とかじかんだ声で何を歌う嘘でも本当でも好きとか嫌いとか欲しいとか気持ちいいだけのセリフでしょう白黒つけるにはふさわしい滅びぬ呪文だけれどまっさらな子供時代教科書を暗記していれば正解不正解どちらかを選べると思ってたとがき通りに生きている自分アドリブには慣れていないくせ言いたいこと溢れ出しかしまし君の真似だけだけれど手放し 軽いと感じるだろうか言葉の鎧も呪いも一切合切脱いで剥いでもう一度僕らが出会えたら欲しいとか口走ったらどうなるでしょうああ白黒つけるのは恐ろしい切実に生きればこそそう人生は長い世界は広い自由を手にした僕らはくれ幸福になって不幸になって慌ただしい胸の内だけが騒ぐ大人は秘密を守る
Okay, and that was Sharon's pick, translated as The Adult Code by the Dune. So yeah, a few technical issues today, so thanks for bearing with us, the few of you who are actually listening live. Yeah, so we have Julie here today, thanks for coming in. So yeah, a recent study found that depression may not be caused by a chemical imbalance in your brain, something that maybe has been on the mind of that sort of area of science for a while, but it's something that's come to the forefront recently in the public eye due to this review. So could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so this paper was published in Nature this past July, and so the researchers did a large review of several studies to analyze the link between serotonin and depression, and they actually found that the serotonin theory of depression is not supported by the evidence available.
So what exactly is the serotonin theory of depression?
The serotonin theory of depression was proposed in the 60s, and it suggested that depleted serotonin in the brain causes depression, and so SSRIs became really widespread in the 90s to treat it.
What are they? SSRIs?
So, yeah, SSRIs are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, so they essentially increase the abundance or the amount of serotonin in the brain.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And so do they know what the cause of depression is if it's not serotonin?
Yeah, it's super complex. I think so much research was devoted to serotonin, even though all they ever found were associations. It wasn't necessarily proven that there was a cause and effect link between the two. In fact, a lot of studies showed that antidepressants aren't all that much more effective than the placebo effect. And I think somewhere along the way, that message turned into chemical imbalances cause depression among the public. So I don't know if that's a problem with the public or transparency and communication by scientists and psychiatrists. But for all we know, it could be the other way around, that depression causes chemical imbalances in the brain. So we don't have super great insight into exactly what mechanisms underlie depression.
Well, as a sort of layperson about it, that's really interesting to think that depression could be causing the chemical imbalances and not the other way around, because the dominant narrative that you hear in the media and when you talk about it with people is that chemical imbalances cause it. Like, that's sort of what we're led to believe. That's yeah. And so then they've known about this a long time, and then how is that informing the approaches? You know, it's made it into the public eye more. Like the finding that it's not necessarily down to a chemical imbalance.
I think research is going to start being directed in different ways, but as for the public, I don't want people to maybe think that we should just, like throw out antidepressants and completely abandon them, because they can alleviate symptoms in some people. They can be a life-saving intervention for people who are really at risk. But they may be working in different ways than we think, rather than just increasing serotonin. And not everyone with depression needs them or will be helped by them. And so continuing to treat it sort of like the cure, I guess, not the cure, but as the only option available isn't necessarily the right mindset, and maybe taking a more holistic approach. There's lots of other evidence-based practices that can help alleviate depression, and so I think just the public maybe needs to sort of reframe their thoughts around what causes depression and what other treatments are available to them.
Yeah, and I think there is quite a prominent, at least that I've sort of seen or absorbed, of like people really, there is this emergence of this holistic approach and a big emphasis on the benefits of like talking therapies or CBT or like anything as well, like that's sort of the stuff that I see a lot of. Then there is also a lot of stigma about taking antidepressants, which also, yeah, like you said, shouldn't be discarded, because they obviously do help in some cases and in some cases not. So yeah, it seems like it's about what works for different people, and you know, these conditions are very complicated and really affect people's lives. So yeah, this sort of overall approach sounds like a really good way forward. What did this dominance of the serotonin theory of depression do to research on depression sort of before or throughout sort of time, I suppose?
Yeah, I think it really limited people's view of depression. It simplified how they view it, and it definitely narrowed research on depression for a long time, because they were really just trying to build this theory around chemical imbalances causing depression. So it was restrictive in a lot of ways, and for a while this prevailing belief failed to show people that antidepressants aren't your only hope, and you know, if those don't work, you're not broken. There's tons, like I said, tons of other evidence-based actions that you can take to alleviate your symptoms. There's lots of studies on meditation, a diverse and nutritious diet, exercise, even just walking 20 minutes a day, journaling, talk therapy, tons of different things that can be taken together to create a more profound effect than just doing one thing, just taking antidepressants or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting as well, looking, just as you were talking about, you know, this sort of prevailing thought and therefore that directed it all. It's sort of very similar to like this sort of idea of like dogma and sort of confirmation bias and things like that, sort of carrying these ideas through that without maybe scrutinising them enough, or you know, maybe failing or maybe in some ways accidentally ignoring maybe the lack of evidence or whatever. So yeah, that just made me think of that. But yeah, what do you think you would say is like your final sort of takeaway message from all of this?
I would say that if you are struggling with depression, you can work to create a toolkit, so to speak, of things that you've personally found to help your symptoms, and using them all together to help alleviate your symptoms.
Cool. Thank you very much. And yeah, I think that sort of sums all of that up quite nicely. The review was by a team at UCL, so if anyone wants to read it, if you just search in Google for UCL review serotonin depression, something like that, then that will you'll be able to read that review, and also a summary of sort of like a news piece about it as well. But yeah, thanks for your insight today, Julie. After our next song, we'll play a game, as of yet not known by us, so a little surprise by Emma. And yeah, to warm us up, Big Yellow Taxi by Joni Mitchell.
They paved paradise, put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They took all the trees, put them in a tree museum, and they charged the people $1.50 just to see them. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Hey, farmer, put away the DDT now. Give me spots on my apples, or leave me the birds and the bees. Please don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Late last night, I heard the screen door slam, and a big yellow taxi took away my old man. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. I said, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot.
Big Yellow Taxi by Joni Mitchell. And now we have the game for this evening, which I've brainstormed to come up with this idea. Well, I also had some inspiration from another game, but the questions I've tried to think of, and they're not related to anything about the topic, they're just more for fun. So it's the wrong answer game, where you have to say, I'll ask you a question, such as, and we'll do an example question which could be something like, what is the main ingredient in mushroom soup? And then you have to say all the things that wouldn't go in mushroom soup. But it has to still be within the realm of like food, the category.
Just like one answer in that case. It'd be like,
I'm going to say
like carrots, something.
Yeah, say straight away something.
Just one thing though, not all the ingredients. Not like listing as many ingredients as possible.
No, don't list as many as you can, but you can't
answer.
say something that would go in mushroom soup.
Okay.
And then that's how you get it wrong. And there's a few of them, and then I'll just tally it at the end, and then whoever comes up with the most.
Are we
wins.
racing each other?
Yeah, is it at the same
That's the
time?
thing, yeah. So you
Whoever
both have
does
to
it
race.
first.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Okay.
Okay. I don't even know if it will be difficult, but we'll find out.
This is very similar to a certain other radio stations.
You know what? It might be. But I was Googling, and this is what the internet brought. So, we'll start with first one. What? So remember, it's the opposite. What do you spread on toast?
Milk.
Ah, that was good. Okay.
Okay. One to flow. What goes on pizza?
Worms.
I'm bad at this game.
Oh, yeah, fair. Because worm is protein food, so I'll take it. Because it's not really a category of food there. You're kind of far out. But there's a move to eat insects, and I think
There
that's
is.
sustainable. So we should make that.
I was
It's
inferring
protein.
that really.
I know you were, yeah. What do you drink from a cow?
Hot sauce.
Oh. Poor cow.
What job did Donald Trump used to have?
Waitress.
Good.
He'd love that.
What noise does a sheep make?
Woof,
Grr.
woof.
I don't know why that came to mind.
Okay, so
On a roll now.
I'm tallying them up.
Oh no, I think Julie just about won.
Oh.
So that was 3, I think. Well, I don't know. I sort of thought we were very close on that last one. So.
It was. Might be a tie.
3. It's Flo's 1.
Ah.
3 points to Flo, 2 points to
Amazing.
Julie.
Yay.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Yeah, I actually tend to be on Radio 1.
You're
That is
just-
the one that I am actually good at because I'm not very good at actual quizzes.
Oh, is it from Radio
So-
1? I thought it was from the Graham
Yeah, there's
Norton
one
show.
called Wrong Uns, Greg James.
Wrong is. Oh, they just do variations of
Yeah,
the same game.
yeah.
That makes sense.
It's
Okay.
fun. It's fun game.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, that concludes us with the game for the evening. And thank you, Julie, for chatting with us today. It was really interesting, and I did once again learn something new. I hope everyone has a good evening. And to play us out, we have the very danceable tune Thin Line, and that is our final song. And enjoy.
Everybody's doing their own thing, and nobody's solving the problem. Ain't nobody helping each other. Some people give in to fear, should we live with this hatred? We're all dancing on the thin line, but they're making out we're having